Alright guys, well we're back in Maya 2018. In our first video we modeled our K-bar combat knife. In video number 2 we did the UV mapping, as you can see right here, and the color ID mask. And in this video we are going to do the high poly mesh, and we're going to bake our maps and do the texturing, right? So we're going to close this guy down, and what we're going to do is, this guy has already been exported as a low poly mesh. We're going to use this guy to create a high poly mesh. So I don't really need the color for that. So I'm going to right click on object mode and then assign new material and just do a default Lambert. So it's just a plain gray. And this is the one that I'm going to use for export. Okay. So I'm going to go to file and export selection. And I have a test high poly here that I'm going to overwrite as an OBJ. And that is now saved. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that into ZBrush. Here we go. Alright guys, we're in ZBrush. I'm going to go up to import, and I'm going to select that high poly, or so-called high poly. Quads and triangles is fine. I'm going to left click and drag and hold down shift to snap it like so. And then I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to click on make polymesh 3D, which will give me this guy. Now, what we need to do is make this a high poly so we can add some detail and add a US Marine Corps logo and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to geometry, and I'm going to click on divide, and I'm mainly interested in the sheath here. So I'm going to turn this on, hit P on my keyboard. I like to work in perspective mode. And I'm going to click on divide, and as I do so, I'm going to keep count of the total points up here, and I want at least several million. So we're at 3.7 million, maybe even go up one more, 15 million. That should be more than enough. Okay, I'm going to turn off my lines here, and what I'm going to do is go into my standard brush and change that to trim dynamic. This flow is alright. Maybe I'll need to tweak the intensity a bit and the focal shift a bit. I'll do a little test here. And what I really want to do is just break those straight lines so it doesn't look so straight. So let's go back one here. That's a bit much. Let's tweak that draw size. And the problem I got right here is that I'm using a mouse instead of a tablet. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for a Wacom to come in, but it hasn't arrived yet. So in the meantime, this is going to be it. And as you can see, I'm just going over here and just playing with those edges so it doesn't look so straight and neat and that kind of thing, right? Supposed to be leather, so let's bang it up a bit. This has been used, of course, and I'm doing this really quick and dirty, but I want to advise you to take your time. This is really critical in the process that you do this properly, because this will be the difference between a model looking great or looking pretty bad, basically, right? So don't judge me based on the few minutes that I'm spending on this. I would normally spend a couple of hours on this, okay? So just so you understand the process, and that's what my videos are about, okay? Alrighty, so yeah, I think we're good. So that looks alright. And then just hold on shift, there we go. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to have the US Marine Corps logo on here, okay? So what I'm going to do there is jump into Photoshop. There you go. And I found this logo online, but one problem though, we need white on black, not black on white, so I have to change that. So I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, I'm going to go to Invert, and there you go. Then I'm going to go to File, Save As. I already did a test with this here, so I'm just going to go to JPEG, and I'm going to overwrite this guy. And there you go. And now it's ready for use. So let's jump back into ZBrush. Alright, well, a couple of things we need to do. First, I'm going to change my trim dynamic. I want that to be my standard brush, and then I want the stroke to change to this rectangle. And finally, I want this alpha to be loaded. So click on alpha, go down here and click on import. And I already imported this, but just so you guys understand the process. So import, I want white on black. There you go. And this should be okay. Now, in order for you to apply this properly, you need to make sure that your settings are okay. We've got focal shift, draw size, and intensity. I'm going to push my focal shift down to close to, I would say, 70 or so. Draw size seems to be okay. Intensity, we'll see. And I'm just going to do a little test here. I'm going to left click and drag. And let's bring this back a little bit. It's kind of off center, so let's just hit Control Z to try that again. And let's do that one more time. Let's make that a bit smaller and straight. There you go. So I think that looks all right. We got a couple of lines going on down here. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key to kind of smooth that out. And don't go nuts on that because you don't want to mess up your model. I think that's going to be okay. And yeah, that said, it's time to save this out as our high poly model. So what I'm going to do is go up to Subtool. Here you go. I'm going to rename this guy. I'll just call it high poly model. Enter. We're going to export this. Yep, export. And I'm going to overwrite the high poly file that I already had. Okay. So hit save and hit replace, and there you go. And let's see. I think it's time to go into Substance Painter. Here we go. Alright guys, well, we're in Substance Painter. It's time to texture. Alright, so we're going to go to File. We're going to get a new PBR Metal Rough. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to go in and I'm going to select my low poly mesh. That is UV and has a color ID mask. And then I'm going to go in and set my texture size to 2K. I'm going to hit OK, and there it is. Now, what I need to do first is I need to bake my initial textures, and for that I can also load up my high poly mesh. So I'm going to click on that, set my maps to 2K as well, go into the little folder right here and select my high poly mesh. And then on the left here, I'm going to leave everything checked. That's going to create some error messages in my log file, but don't worry about that. That's because of something that is related to vector colors and whatnot, right? So we're going to click on Bake All Texture Sets. Let's give it a sec. Alright guys, and there we go. Let's go to View and Reset UI. So we have the normal workspace again, and you can see that the logo came in okay, especially considering it's leather. So that said, I got my layers up here for my metal, my leather, and it seems that these two names didn't come in properly, but that's okay. This is for the black pieces of wood, and this is for the wood colored pieces. Okay, so let's see, we'll focus on the leather first. I'm going to go to materials. Let's go and look for leather, and let's see, they all seem kind of soft, so let's look at the smart materials. Maybe we've got something better there, and I think we do. This is metal of a leather rough. Sorry, let's make sure we got this layer selected. Let's bring this in and give that a second, and that is actually very nice. It's a bit too rough maybe. Let's see, we're going to go into the base here, and let's bring down that roughness just a bit. Bring that intensity a bit. This looks a bit worn, but that's kind of okay. Let's see. Just trying to see how I can play with that. And can turn off that height. We'll brighten up the color a little bit. I think that's okay. And let's see what else. We're going to go into dirt, base color, that's all right. Let's see, dust is okay. The edges is fine. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything I can play with here that will bring it up. But I think it's okay. So we'll leave it at that. Then let's see what's next. Leather, then we're going to go with metal. So let's try steel. And I want that to be black. So let's go into our metal layer here. Turn that on and turn that off. Steel dark. Let's bring that in, and that's coming in nicely. So we got that. And then we're going to turn on the next layer, which is our black wood. So we're going to go back to wood again. And that's not the wood I want, unless under the regular materials. Yeah, we can do this, and then we'll tweak the color. So we're going to go and let's see, that was this guy. So we're going to select that layer. And let's bring that up here. And then we're going to go in and we're going to push that color to basically full black. All right. And yeah, that looks all right. Cool. So the color is okay. Let me just check this out here. Just want to make sure that this all looks all right. I think it does. Yeah, and then let's bring in our normal wood, which is this guy, and we'll turn these off. And I think the same wood would be nice, so let's make sure we're on that layer right there. So I'm just going to go in here and bring that in, and then you can tweak the direction as well if you want, but this is what we have so far. And I think that that wood is maybe a bit too clean or nice, if you will, but certainly not bad. Okay, I just want to tweak this one, I think. So let's play with this color. It's maybe a bit too dark. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty close. Yeah, we'll just go with black. Okay, that's fine. All right, so now that we have that, there's one more thing, or a couple of things I want to do. But again, guys, this is, keep in mind, I'm trying to explain the techniques. I'm not going to spend the time on this that I normally would, because that would be hours and hours and hours, and that's not the point of this video, okay? So let me see here. So what I want to do here is get stitches in, okay? Now, a couple of ways we can do that, but let's get started by putting in a new layer. And we'll do a new layer, yeah. And let's make sure actually that we're on the right material here. We're on our leather, okay? We're going to go in and we're going to create a new layer. And then we're going to go and create a brush and a size and so forth. So let's see, we have a flow here that we can play with. We got the size, we want spacing, and I want that brush type under alpha to be a nice crisp one. And I don't think I have any presets to do this, so we'll have to do something pretty straightforward. Let's bring that flow way up. just playing with these settings here to find something that looks appropriate for stitch. We could use this. We can try. Let me see here. Size is still too big. I think that's much better. And the black pieces are going to be over this, and we're going to change the color to black, like so. And let's just start somewhere here. And basically put it in like so. I don't like that flow just yet, so let me play around with that for a minute. Seems that we have a stitch generator here, which is much better. And then the flows are right. And then the flow jitter. Okay, direction is not what I'm looking for. So let's move that. There we go. Let's change that size. And now I'm interested in color, but I'm also interested in height. Okay. So as far as height is concerned, let me just see what we can do here. I want a negative value, so let me do a quick test here. Yeah, perfect. So what we're going to do is hold on shift to snap that, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to hold on shift, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do the same here. And we're going to go all the way to there. And now, which is tricky, I need to basically do individual ones because I need to make that curve here, all right? So what we're going to do is, let's see. Let's play with that angle a little bit. And slowly start to change that angle. And then play with that again. And I'm basically trying to figure this out as I move along because this is not something that I ran into before. So sometimes you just have to make it work. Okay, I think that looks all right. Turn all the elements back on. So that's basically what we got, and let's do a render, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the rendering mode. And let's go in here and let's see what we want to do. I'm just going to bring this down a bit so we can see what's going on. I want to increase my samples. That's right, that's right. Now I've got my dome right here. I can use a clear color as a background if I want, and I think I'll do that. I think that turned out okay. So let's see, we got different backgrounds we can choose from. Let's see which one suits us best. This is maybe kind of a jungle color, if you will. And then we can change the exposure. We'll not go nuts on that. Let's rotate the environment. Let's see if that's a huge effect. It should. And let's see, I got my ground here, X, Y, and Z. I think that's okay. So maybe we need to change the angle just a bit. Let's just yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. Alrighty, so let's see. Yeah, it's rendering, so we'll give it a sec. Alright guys, and there you have it. There's the final product. Like I said, considering the time I spent on texturing and sculpting and so forth, I think it turned out okay, but you know, of course you can make it look much better when you take your time, right? Hopefully this short series was helpful. If you got any questions, let me know as always. And that said, thank you very much for your support. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye. Well, thanks for watching. And before you go, please hit that MH button to subscribe, okay? See you guys next time. Bye.